And we are live. Good day, Crypto Crazy. Joining us remotely from Florida on vacation. How is it going?
It's going well. It's going well. Loving it down here. The weather is beautiful. Sorry about the boring background, but I don't really have anything to work with. I tried doing it outside, but it's pretty windy out. Nice and sunny. A balmy, I believe it's 84 degrees. But yeah, I'm here.
Excellent, excellent. So, yeah, today's stream. Let's get this on the right page here. We're talking about Black Swan events. So we'll transition in, bring in our guests here. I'm just trying to not mess it up. Here we go. Hello, gentlemen. How are you guys doing today?
So far, so good, man. Fired up.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so
I'm doing great. I'm actually concerned about Crypto Crazy here. Did he sell all of his belongings and his house just to buy the dip? Because it looks like he really did that right now.
I think he would. I think he would. It's very tempting actually right now. So
yeah, bare bones. I have nothing left. As you can see behind me, I sold all my paintings. I sold my back screen. I sold my lamp. I got a pretty good money for that Bitcoin LED lamp there. But you know, you got to do what you got to do to buy the dip.
The big question is, how many XRP did you get?
None, actually. You know what? I'm not even going to take offense to that because I sold about 30% of my bag to do other things with it.
Oh, wow. That is actually quite serious from you. Okay. All right. This is a serious conversation now.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's good to know that you're divesting from something you felt strongly about. We always talk about not marrying projects and stuff. So I'm glad you're finding that out rather quickly with XRP.
Well, you know what? Another opportunity came up. It was too good to pass up, and it paid off big time. So I have no regrets on doing that. I can always buy back in, seeing as how XRP is a stable coin. Price never moves, so you can get in at the same price now or a month from now. So it's all good.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate what we're seeing with XRP. It had such a strong community behind it, and granted, their goal all along was to be mainstream and the banker's token and everything else, but unfortunately, after that lawsuit, it really seems like they abandoned the crypto side of things and kind of left everybody hanging. It's sad to see because that's who made them, but
yeah, and they are constantly building, and you know the XRPL is a huge success. It works the way it should. They just came out with the market makers, and I mean it did okay. They had a few bugs; they had to work it out. But I don't know. It just seems that no matter how much Ripple and XRP as a token advances, and they seem to be constantly building on the platform, the price doesn't reflect that. And I mean, you know, people could tell you that has to do with the owners are constantly selling, dumping on the members, and this and that, but. Whatever the case may be, they still are in the lawsuit, figuring out the final little bit of it when it comes to whether or not institutional buys of XRP prior to a certain date were securities. But once they get that behind them, and I feel, you know, that might be the next catalyst for the next pump on XRP. But the rumor is, I don't know how much truth is to it, but the rumor is that they are going to be fined $2 billion. Whether or not that is true, I don't know. I think Ripple can absorb that, no problem. But let's just get this over and done with. That's my view on it. But like I said, I still have a good-sized bag. I've been accumulating for years and years, but I did sell some to go into other opportunities. And as I said, that paid off. You know, like you said, Char, you can't marry one asset. And, you know, you got to adapt with the times when you see that something is not working or something is just not doing what it's supposed to or what you thought it was going to, thought it was going to do. You got to think of a different game plan. And I did.
Yeah, this is where infidelity is a good thing, huh?
That's the only time. Well,
Uh,
Juan, you weren't on last week, but I did let everyone know, because everyone knows it's no secret that I consider Solana my redheaded stepchild, or at least it used to be. Solana is now my darling because that thing is just one hell of a beautiful babe, isn't it?
well, if you look at, its all-time high of $204, and I think the last time I was on here, we're kind of um, talking about it crossing over into 100, then crossing over into 120. Um, Not surprising. There's a lot of hype around it. This is hopefully the people who were on the stream prior got on the train and took advantage of some good opportunities with Solana. Whether you were in the liquidity pool and wanted to be safer, you were still winning here.
Hmm.
So it's a great opportunity. For me personally, gold seeing all-time highs. I've always kind of spoken highly about it when people kind of move money around. And now we're looking at gold at, I think, 22.33 right now. And I'm just, it's the bull market. And I think that this is the time where you have to, be smart, pick something, put a plan together, stick to the plan, don't deviate, and go and take advantage of the markets. You can't say no one told you.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of that, Juan, welcome back. It has been a while since you've been on stream, and a lot has changed since you've been on. So, it's good to see you back and get caught up a little bit with everything that's been going on around here.
Oh, exciting times, man. Exciting times. I'm glad that we were prepared to do this. It's unfortunate for those um, people in the U.S. markets, right? It's hard to get into crypto. A lot of markets are closed to us. We have to find different avenues to take advantage of being able to you just do regular trades.
Mhm.
Of course, if you want to do leverage trading, that is, right? Because Coinbase, you can still do spot trading, stuff like that. But even myself, I had to close a few of my trades forcefully because certain exchanges sent me nice little emails about get out now. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, so good times there. But at the end of the day, I still made a nice pretty penny during the bull market. So not what I wanted to make, but I can't complain.
It never is. When a
Um,
time the bull market ends, you always wish you had another couple months. It's just never enough accumulation.
No,
Um,
no, it wasn't
um,
even accumulation. It's the kick out, man. When they kick you out forcefully, and I had no
yeah,
choice.
yeah.
yeah.
I had some and all these little exchanges. I didn't put everything in one exchange, but I just didn't expect all the exchanges just to start like kicking out U.S. customers.
Yeah, it's terrible. But Dip, before we get into tonight's topic, I do want to turn over to Chart for a second. I missed the spaces today. Unfortunately, I was out and about, and we don't get hardly any signal here in Florida. The reception here is garbage. And then I was inside a mall doing some shopping, so I completely missed the spaces. If you'd like to give a quick overview, I wouldn't mind hearing how it went today.
Did we lose him? Yes, we have lost him. So the Matrix is out. They read the thumbnail. So we'll have to wait till he gets back in. Before we do
Yeah, I
that,
can. I can. No, I can. Dip, I can hear Chart fine.
Yeah, so can I.
I am not seeing Chart even on the screen here.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
check the stream.
Yeah, he's there.
I don't know if they can hear him on the stream or not. I'm not hearing him on the software.
If anybody has YouTube up, Dip or Juan, double check.
Yeah, I can see the stream playing, but yeah, I can't hear the actual stream without messing up the audio.
Okay, continue, Chart. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he's not showing up on stream. We've lost him on the collab cam here. He is not connected on the stream side. So
Yeah, I'm not hearing him on YouTube.
yeah, he's gonna have to sign back in. So while he does that, I am just going to go over.
Okay, he just left. He's going to come back.
Yeah, I'll just go over what you normally do when you have your computer. So I will go into the screen share here. We got coin market cap up. We got Bitcoin dominance at 52.3. Fear and greed index is up at 81. Extreme greed. We'll go into the halving calculator, and it's 22 days, 15 hours, 34 minutes, and 8 seconds to the Bitcoin halving. And do the crypto bubbles on the week, looking like Dog with Hat and Doge are the big pumpers here. Pretty green across the board, which is expected when Bitcoin returns to do its thing. And I will take that down, charts back. I'll see if I can find a way to add him back in here. Hold on. Always something, eh?
Always, but in the meantime, though, always nice to see green bubbles for a change, right?
Yeah.
And not just once in a while. Like it's been like this for a few weeks now. It's nice to see. However, I did expect some of these bubbles to be green. Disappointing to see. Some things just never made moves. I don't know what's holding them back, or maybe just life is not good on their side right now.
It's also narrative too. So
Yeah,
it's all about the narrative, right?
Yeah, that's true. Isn't that right? Narrative plays a role.
Yeah, and this is what I was going to say about the RWA stuff, is that BlackRock ended up pumping out the news how they're being fully invested into tokenizing everything. And, that sent shockwaves throughout all the industries, including crypto. And so now we have the entire sector of RWA just going crazy, just absolutely going crazy. And I love it.
Yeah.
We've been talking about RWA for months, it seems like. Every single week we talk about any aspect of the RWA, including our favorite project, which is Opulence. And so it's like, now when things are actually happening, people are asking questions like, okay, that's nice, but you got to listen way before that. You got to listen when Boson was at 22 cents, and I've been asking you to buy Boson because it's something that I've been tracking for over 2 years. And now it's 84 cents. So it's like, opportunities are there, right? We just got to pay attention. Last week I talked about also how the entire sector is at just under $7 billion in market cap. We want that sector to be at least 50 billion in market cap when it's all said and done. And I think it's actually quite easy to do that. All we need is about 50 projects to hit a $1 billion market cap. We're there. And it's going to happen too, especially with these, with Opulus is going to be at least 3 to 4 billion. Some of the ones that are already out there, like Ondo and, C-Pool is going to be probably out there as well, maybe $1 billion or 2. Boson as well. So plenty of opportunities for everyone to buy and hold for the end of this bull run.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so before we get going any farther, today is our draw day for our Ellipse Titan bundle. So we didn't have a very good showing, but we did get 2 entries. So I'll stick to my word, and I've got the hat with the 2 entries in here.
I think both of those are mine. No, just kidding. That's good.
You can look, though. You can look. Come on.
I will not look. I'm going to randomly pick. Here we go. And let's see who won.
Oh, it's Dip 1.
Black Cat Syndicate.
Black Cat.
Wow, Black Cat gets it.
Yeah, so
I'm so jealous.
I will have to email him and let him know that he won, get his shipping information, and get that to him tomorrow. And all that I'll ask from him is when he gets it, snap a picture for us to throw on the website, which is fantastic.
I'm sure he's listening in on YouTube. Congratulations, Black Cat.
And actually, I haven't seen him in the chat yet.
He actually needs one badly. He was talking about he was having issues with his ledger, so this is perfect for him.
Yeah. I'm a little bit jealous. I'm thinking of making the switch, honestly. The research I did doing this giveaway has really pulled me away as a diehard ledger user. So I guess there's not always there's always opportunity for something better to come along. So
yeah.
Well, you know how it is. VHS versus beta. Here we go.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Or like Bitcoin and XRP, right? Right, guys?
Yeah. I love Bitcoin.
Damn, being the XRP, huh? Jeez.
There's been a lot of negative with XRP. So today's topic was a little bit bearish, but Black Swan event incoming. And the reason that I picked that as the topic is we had a Fed meeting, and they announced that there's more than likely going to be 2 to 3 interest rate drops this year, even though interest is climbing. We had another federal budget announcement that was increased drastically, so that throws up all the signals for inflation increase and how that's going to hit everybody I guess eventually in the investment space as well, but people who aren't invested. So I wanted to bring that up as a topic this week, because in the traditional side of things, the second that announcement came, we had real estate development spike through the roof. So what that means is that people are going to be flooding themselves into necessities when it comes to the investing space and stores of value. And both of those are common topics right now in the crypto space. You got Bitcoin leading the charge with our bull runs as of yet, and real world assets are actually pumping like crazy. So yeah, to bring that in and how that relates to the crypto space and where you should be to not get left behind if you're a crypto investor. And I know me personally, Bitcoin. I don't think you can get a better store of value, but we have some pros here when it comes to real world assets and what they do. So whoever wants to start off.
I can start off really quickly. One of the things that I'm always looking for is when the Fed is talking about, or the central banks talk about increasing or decreasing rates, always focus your attention on how oil is doing, like crude oil is doing, right? So it's a leading indicator for interest rates, essentially, because oil spikes all inflation, right? And so when we have oil spiking all over the place, it's going to create a lot more inflation that we don't need. And, you know, it's nice that the Fed and the banks, like Bank of Canada, are all talking about most likely cutting sometime this year. Partly, I think they're doing this because it is an election year, so it does play into election rules. And, you know, if it wasn't a non-election year, they would not touch the rates at all, in my opinion, especially seeing how the oil is actually going up. And so when crude oil goes up, you're going to see a lot more increase in inflation in the next few months, including the second quarter. It's unfortunate. I did expect it to come down below $70 at some point. Maybe that actually does still happen. We might have actually get a rejection at $85 per barrel. And then in the summertime, you know, it goes down, but you know how summertime is, everyone tries more and there's more uptake in oil demand and so on and so forth. So yeah. I'm not sure that's going to happen. So, you know, is it nice that we're going to get these cuts? Sure. but it's going to create a lot more problems down the road.
Yeah.
So I don't particularly like it.
My thought on that is that it's going to drive the asset prices up way high, and you don't have as many people with the liquidity to actually support these companies. So essentially, you're going to be making a lot of bubbles, which will lead to a crash down the road. Crazy. What do you?
Yeah,
think?
I agree with you, Chart. This is definitely election driven. The rate cuts and dip as well. You said this election that's coming up toward the end of this year is basically going to be a Bitcoin election. You've already seen all the major candidates talking about it. RFK has already mentioned that, crypto, he keeps calling it cryptos instead of Bitcoin itself, but crypto in general, according to him, is a good hedge against inflation. Donald Trump has come out and said that, he still loves the dollar. Dollar is still king. It's still number one in his view, but Bitcoin has its purpose. And of course, sleepy Biden, they're jumping on the train as well. So this is definitely going to be a Bitcoin or crypto election. And with the election coming up at the end of the year, the Fed has no choice but to cut rates, because if they don't, they're going to be unpopular, the Biden administration, and they're going to do whatever they can to win the election. I don't know if you guys noticed, but he's also been seen on camera with Barack Obama and Bill Clinton. They're kind of supporting him and trying to get as many of the votes as they can, because right now Trump is killing Biden in the polls. But my suggestion would be anyone that's getting into any asset really, whether it's crypto or traditional assets, now is a good time to get in, because things are just going to go crazy. However, as the year winds down and early into 2025, when things finally settle in, the election is done and the dust settles, things are going to get really stupid. So my suggestion would be, at that time, take your assets, take all the gains you've made, and get the fuck out, because you're going to see some crazy action in the markets, both crypto and traditional.
Yeah. What about you, Juan?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I think this is one of those few moments where I think we all have the same consensus when it comes to the election and the role that it's playing in the decisions being made right now. To me, you hear very conflicting reports, right? It doesn't make sense where you foresee these spikes in inflation, but yet let's drop interest. To me, that just doesn't make sense. I think it's counterproductive productive to go that route. Again, we're gonna have to either make as American citizens, make sure that we do vote. That's gonna make the difference on how we're going to invest, because we all know if Trump wins, the likelihood of things exploding is gonna be high, and I mean that in a positive way, right, for investors, right, as far as pricing and stuff like that. On the downside, if Trump wins, he doesn't have the support of Republicans. The Republicans right now are all over the place. And there's a lot of people abandoning ship. I think they'll almost look like they're flipping either the Senate or the House soon. So there's a lot of things there that also going to play a role in limiting some of that power that Trump wants to wield. So so those are things that we have to pay attention to as investors, right? And you're 100% correct. Looking towards September, October, do we pull out? Do we hold? And thankfully that we'll be around to be able to deliver that news and come to a consensus and help people out as much as we can and see what's going on. But right now, I just don't see nothing stopping Bitcoin from being a more trusted source of value right now for stored value purposes, right? It's leading the way along with gold. For those who wants to stick to traditional investing. Housing markets are now heating up again, and getting that value is going to play a role. So when you see those kind of three things align, we have to be careful. We got to walk that line, because it could be very good, but it could also be like one of those false floors where you think that's we're gonna, hey, whatever we put in, our money is safe, and then kind of have the floor drop below us, and they'll be underwater, and then hope for it to climb back up again. And that's why this halving event is going to kind of be an indicator for us and how the markets are going to kind of roll out for the next few months after that halving happens. So it's just exciting times. Volatility, whether it's up or down, you make money. It just has to decide. It's 50-50. Flip that coin and do your due diligence.
That was all really good points. I see a big awakening happening, like pretty much worldwide, where you've got a whole bunch of people that are pretty much being enslaved by fiat currency. It doesn't matter how hard they work, how many jobs they work, how much they've saved over their whole lives. You've got mismanaged funds eating away at their freedom, essentially. So by taking away the value of what you've worked for throughout your life, and then makes you more reliant on governments and actually gives governments more control. You're losing your freedoms, everything else. So I really do see an awakening happening, and that's why people are looking at Bitcoin and everything else as good stores of value. People want a currency that's backed by something, gold, anything else, and I do believe governments know that as well, right? So, and to Juan's point, the biggest thing you can do is vote. You need to hold these politicians accountable for what you need and what you want, and that's the only way you're going to get out of this cycle right now.
Yeah. Dip, you and I are Canadians, and we watch these elections closely because usually what happens down in the States trickles its way to our levels of government. And it's a very, very important election, not only because the last, however many years Biden has been in power, things have not gone great, whether or not it's his fault, the economic cycle where it is just happens to fall in his term. But the U.S. needs somebody in office who isn't afraid to do what needs to be done. And, whether or not you're a conspiracy theorist and you believe some of the things you've heard, whether it be the Biden family and Hunter and all this other stuff that's going on, that's besides the point. The U.S. needs someone in power who's actually going to take control and run the government properly, and then it'll trickle its way up here. I wanted to go a little bit further on that and to talk about some possible catalysts other than the election coming for, well, we are in the bull market already, but after the halving is typically when the bull market really takes off. Now, my opinion or my belief is that the halving is not as important as it used to be. Yeah, it does cut the amount of Bitcoin being mined in half. It'll now be from 900 to 450. That is a big deal. I don't think it's as important as it used to be. However, the halving is something that everybody knows about, especially retail investors when they come in, when they hear the halving and knowing that the bit rate or the mining hash and everything gets cut in half, the amount of Bitcoin mining gets cut in half. It's kind of a signal for them, time to get in. It's bull market time in crypto. It's just an automatic, whether or not it means as much as it really does. The other thing, going back to the government and the election and the Fed cutting rates, they just announced a new financial budget. What was it? How many trillion was it again, Dip? I don't remember what it was.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm drawing a blank with
this.
A
few trillion in the upcoming budget. So you know what that means? That means the money printer is going to go burr, and when that happens, exactly everything goes up. So that's another catalyst that's going to happen as the year progresses. So things are about to get extremely crazy in not just traditional but crypto markets, and it's a great time to be involved. But like we said, and we all agree, consensus, that it's a very limited window. So be prepared for this crazy ride.
Yeah, I think the number is like 7.3 trillion, right? Something like that.
Is it? I can't remember, honestly. Chart, do you remember offhand?
I'm sorry, I was distracted. Which number we're looking at?
Oh, sorry. We're wondering what the Fed their spending budget for this coming year.
I don't know. I know it's in the trillions. I know it's in the trillions, and they keep raising the ceiling all the time because clearly they can't make the payment, so they just keep borrowing against themselves, and they keep raising that ceiling because they know it's a slippery slope. Like they can't stop what they already started. It's impossible. They can't. It's like they have to start wars in order to make money, in order to pay these debts, right? So this is kind of like how they fund themselves in the first place. But in terms of catalysts and stuff, we still have the Ethereum ETF that's going to be looming up over our heads, which is going to be amazing. And that's going to signal an alt season, actually, which I think could be sometime in the summer. we'll see, right? Because they keep pushing the dates. They said earlier that there's a chance that they will approve it sometime in May. They've denied it a couple of times already, so we're not sure when that's going to happen. But I think that's going to at least keep the carrot dangling for a few months until we get to that moment. But in terms of the halving event itself, this is honestly unprecedented, because like I spoke today in the space, it's really difficult to gauge how the market's going to do. Normally we do have a drop back somehow beforehand. So we're like 2-3 weeks out, we kind of price the halving in, and then we drop, we correct for 20-30%. Alts get killed, absolutely murdered in that span. And then we go and we have our bull run, right? It's happened 3 times in these 3 cycles. But this is unprecedented because, we just recently breached all-time high. We don't usually breach all-time high at all prior to the halving.
No.
We're in a possible 3-year cycle versus a 4-year cycle. And all these little catalysts along the way. So I don't know. I think we should definitely play both sides. Definitely have some money on the sidelines just in case we do have a massive correction. But this bull run is going to be very, very long. There's so much more to go. I'm just looking at just the total 3 chart, which is the altcoin market cap, and we're at 758 billion, which is like miles away from where we need to have at the end of the bull run, which is about between 2 to 4 trillion. So we have a long way to go. All these different asset classes have so much more appreciation to do. And in terms of black swans, the issue with black swans is that they're never seen ahead of time. In 2021, we never saw the FTX happen. It happened so quickly, we didn't have a chance to react. People actually had a hard time taking money out of FTX, did you remember? And so these things kind of like unprecedented. This is why when we had the issue with Coinbase in the first place with CZ and all that stuff, and it happened in 2023, early 23, I said this is a really good thing, because it happened on the off years. The years were not bullish enough, right? So we can kind of get that out of the way and focus on real things and not have that loom over our head during the bull run, right? So imagine going through the motions now and always knowing that there's a possibility of, say, the SEC, taking out a massive user base on Binance just with one swing, right? And then that will be the black swan we don't need to have. So, we eliminated one black swan, but you don't know about the next one. So you got to always stay vigilant, right? Stay vigilant. Keep your assets close by in case you need to sell them. But yeah, this is going to be an amazing year for sure.
When it comes to not being able to predict about black swan, it is kind of convenient, I should say, that every time budget increases and things aren't looking too great when it comes to the economy as a whole, a boat will crash into a bridge, or a train will derail, or you'll lose a solar field to a storm, or suddenly another country's a nuclear threat, and this, that, and the next thing. Anything that the media can throw in your face to ignore the fact that the government's actually robbing you. So when it comes to
smoke
the
screen.
whole, everything's a smoke screen, and we have seen how the traditional markets can drag down the crypto market.
You know what I love too, though? I think crypto investors are getting a little bit more educated and a little bit more confident in the space, because, in past years, when you hear announcements like, Elizabeth Warren saying she's going to crack down on it, or, someone coming out and saying that regulation is going to kill crypto, that would usually show or cause a lot of volatility in the market. That doesn't seem to happen as much anymore. I mean, you hear of things, like I said, senators talking down about crypto or Bitcoin in general, and it doesn't really move the market at all anymore. I think crypto investors are becoming a little bit more savvy, a little bit more aware of just the kind of manipulation that the government tries to do, the U.S. government tries to do, and they're not as scared anymore. They're not as timid, which is really nice to see. It shows that the market is getting mature, and investors are a little bit smarter with each passing I don't want to say black swan, but negative announcement about Bitcoin or crypto in general.
Well, like I was saying,
for me, I think I have go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. Store value.
So what I was getting at with this is you're going to see a big increase in store value assets. So, yeah, the question for the panel is, aside from the obvious, what cryptos do you see as good store of value assets? And then when we get to the point where we're talking bubble and a pop, and the only things that are going to be stable are going to be necessity real world assets. Where
I was gonna say, Chart go first, then Juan, and then I'll follow up.
Okay.
Store value, huh? I was gonna say Ripple right away, right? Because we all know Ripple's a stable coin. But you know, realistically, we've got to look at things that are clearly going to have value over any span or any cycle, right? So we're obviously looking at Ethereum. We're obviously looking at Bitcoin. The problem with like Solana types and Cardano types and all the layer ones is that, you know, at any moment, something bad can happen. Yeah. And it could take down the entire network, and then everything, it just falls apart, and the entire infrastructure gets crumbled, and all these layer twos are leaving and they're migrating to other layer ones. So, you know, I know it sucks to even think about the fact that Ethereum is still going to be number one, but it is. You know, it's a first mover. They have the most number of developers and side chains and layer twos, and now they have layer threes on top of that. So the infrastructure is incredible. So it's really going to be hard to dethrone Ethereum under any circumstance. So yeah, those are safe assets to buy and keep and hold forever. But the rest of them, you know, it's nice to think that Solana is going to be, you know, $1,500, $2,000 per Solana at some point. And I agree, there's a possibility of that happening. But it's still not a safe investment, right? There's still a risk being posed. Like, yep. At any point, we saw bottlenecking happening on Solana Network just recently with all the Jupiter stuff and the Wen stuff and all the meme coin seasons that are happening right now, failed transactions and so on and so forth. So there's still issues out there, right? So maybe down the road, they'll be figured out, but there is definite implied risk when it comes to any of these layer twos.
Okay, Juan?
So first I wanted to kind of touch base with that last conversation about the economy. Have a slight different perspective on that, only because we always think that, you know, maybe it's the government having control. And when you kind of look at it, where if the economy is so bad, why are we presiding over such highs in the stock market, right? You look at the NASDAQ, you look at the Dow Jones, I'm like, why is that doing so well? It wouldn't make sense. I think there's still players out there that are making moves regardless of what the government wants to do. They're going to continue to print money. And I think that when you follow that trend, I'm not going to say you're going to predict the black swan, but you can see when it starts peaking. You can start with seeing, okay, things are starting, you might start seeing the peak of that mountain, and maybe it's time to jump off ship and see if it drops. And it's usually not because it's something that's government driven. It's just, you know, people just are more in the know than we are when it comes to certain movers, especially when it comes to banks and how they move their money and when they decide to move their money. You know, for us to believe that insider trading does not exist of any sort will be for us to claim pure ignorance. Now, as far as the current topic, yeah, I'm on agreement with Chart when it comes to the whole ETH and how we view ETH. And I don't believe it should be the mover that it is, but it's always shown to decouple from Bitcoin all the time. When it wants to stay strong and Bitcoin wants to take a dip, ETH will just say, nah, you go dip. I'm gonna hold here. And the opposite, right? You know, when we expect a big bull run from Bitcoin, and ETH says, nah, I'm not moving. We're gonna drop. They just kind of always done their own thing. But for me, what I look like as far as things that are gonna maybe move forward, I think I like Chainlink. Chainlink is one of those things that just continues to have utility, right? People find things to use for it all the time. If you're looking for something that, hey, I'm gonna hold on and maybe in a couple of years make money and not worried about peaks and valleys, I think Chainlink is one of those ones that I would look into. And I think the other one that I was like maybe we'll get into Polygon, but considering the movement that it's had lately, it kind of grew too fast for no reason. So not so much, but Poly has its value there. There's a value, but I don't think anybody has gotten to a point to really extract it and show a pathway forward for Polygon. But Chainlink is always, I think, a safe bet if you want to look at alternative coins that are now like Cardano and blue chips and stuff like that. Because for me, again, Cardano had its moment where it should have made moves, and we're still waiting. It has tons of projects. Don't get me wrong. I've spoken to a lot of people in the know, and they know they're still working on projects. But where's the hype behind them? Where's the global change for them? I was excited last year when I heard these stories, and now I'm going to 2024. I'm still waiting. So and I think, for this generation of traders, let's not talk about the savvy ones. Just talking about the people coming in. Their mindset is just a little bit different than ours. They love instant gratification. They don't have a problem with burning their cash. They don't. It's gone. Fuck it. I don't care. That type of attitude sometimes moves markets in different ways that it's unexpected towards us. Now, is there a lot of them to really change the market space? No. But as we've learned with GameStop, when enough of those people kind of gather together and build kind of that little cult, things change. And I foresee that type of generation mindset happening in the next 3-4 years, where there's enough of them to start changing how we invest. But for right now, it's really hard to see what's going to have utility for the next 2 years, 3 years. Because gaming it has a huge spot, but no one's yet stepped forward and say, this is the standard, come follow me. So just waiting for that.
All right, I will add to what both Chart and you said. First, I'll go back to why investors are still investing. Stock markets are reaching all-time highs. I believe it's because, whenever there's inflation and the Feds raise rates, their goal is to crumble the economy. They try to get unemployment up and try to bring inflation down. It didn't work. People, I believe they just didn't want to follow what the Fed was trying to get them to do, so they continued to invest anyway. And you could see the frustration in the Fed that their plan didn't work. So too bad for them. Now, as for the store of value, I'm going to kind of agree with you, Juan. I'm not going to choose a specific project or a specific coin, but I am going to choose a sector like RWAs, or more specifically the gaming sector. That's not going anywhere. Gaming has been huge for a long, long time. You're right. I'm not sure which project is going to step up and be the front runner, but I think the industry overall as a whole is going to be something that's not going away. It's going to continue to build. Bear market, bull market, it doesn't matter what it is, especially now that gaming has, it's kind of switching into the Web3 era. Because the gaming industry is huge. You look at Sony, the PlayStations, and Nintendo, and the big gamers or the industries in the gaming sector. They're huge. Once they get into the crypto side, to the Web3 side, there's no end in sight. And I think even in the depths of a bear market, there's always gamers, there's always gaming being purchased, and gaming is constantly developing and getting better and better. And you look at, there used to be the Oculus 3D thing. Apple now has one, Dip, I can't recall the name, but I'm sure you're an Apple fanatic. But, they're constantly developing, and it's not going anywhere. So I think the gaming sector itself is only going to get bigger and bigger, and that's going to be a huge store of value. Dip, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm pretending I'm wearing those goggles. Just switching screens back.
Bring down the screen, and Anyway, that's my take on it. I'm not going to pick one particular project because Cardano and XRP are going like this for being a useless piece of shit. So we just won't go there on this episode. So I'm definitely not picking either one of those. So gaming RWAs is my sector.
I think if crypto came out with an alcohol version, because that is also, no matter what market you're in, whether you're making money or not making money, alcohol always prevails. You're always at a liquor store buying a bottle. So I'm just saying, right? Gaming and alcohol just go hand in hand.
No, because if you start getting into too much of that, they'll start buying more XRP and more Cardano, and that's not a good thing.
Okay, so to actually answer a bit of what Juan was saying, where you see the inflation and the soaring assets, that is just, in my opinion, directly correlated to the devaluing of a currency by printing more of it. So it's not that these companies are actually worth more, it just takes more dollars to maintain that value, right? Just because they've printed trillions and trillions and more. So it's an artificial increase. That's where you're looking at a store of value when you see these big pumps instead of realistic gains. But so in a traditional market, when we're going into bubble pop territory, recession's hitting, the place where you survive is necessities. It's like to be invested in things like Gillette, and people need soap and razors and food. Oil's always going to be a necessity. As Chart was saying, it's a good indicator, everything else. But on the crypto side, for real world asset projects, what are we looking at that's kind of buzzing right now? No, I'll go with Chart first because he's always in the know, the encyclopedia himself.
You already know, but that is the RWA sector is filled with opportunities, and it's just ripe for incredible multiples in this bull run that we're experiencing. So, I mean, you can go into anything tangible, right? Real world assets could be either, real estate, they could be music, right? They could be exchanges that are trading assets. There's a lot of that actually happening more or less than anything else. You have like C-Pool, you have, I believe there's another one called Defactor. There is Pendle, I think there's Ondo as well. So all these other projects that are trying to do kind of similar things because they're trying to capture the market. It's kind of like when DeFi came along and everybody was trying to aggregate, right? Everybody's trying to aggregate all the decentralized finance. And you had all these projects, doing the same thing, whatever. This is happening also with the RWA sector. That's why the focus should be really on like specialized projects like the Opuluses of the world, right? Like the Bosons of the world. Their target audience is very specific. They're clearly in the realm of their own. They don't have any competitors, right? And so they will get all the liquidity. So that's kind of like what I'm looking at. I'm going to stick to it. I can run off 20 different projects on my list that are going to be amazing, like Propi, which I think it's done like a 5x over the last 2 weeks. It's listed pretty much everywhere. There's also Rio, which again, I think they did a 10x recently. Also another project that everyone's been shilling on socials. And there's also like Swarm, a Swarm market, again, another exchange trying to trade different world class assets. And I tell everyone, go on to CoinGecko, right? Find the category RWA, search for all projects that are there and look for liquidity, right? The more liquid, more volume it has trading wise, the better your position will be and better secure position will be, because you're going to have a way to exit in case it's a bad position. And that there's going to be more people looking at it, right? And likely you're going to have a nice bump. So look for volume, daily trading volume. That will surpass anywhere from 1 million to 2 million trading daily, and then go from there.
Excellent. Anything on your radar, Juan?
So, of course, I think the tokenization of assets and how we can use them in real world, like for the common person, I think it's going to be a huge step for us. And I agree with Chart. It needs to continue to add more liquidity to get to a point where they can start investing in the small things for the common person. With that being said, though, I think that a different move I would look into is the separation of crypto lending and the decoupling of the rates from what is the standard for us in banks. I think that inflation has taken social media by storm, that people know more about it now than they did 10, 20, 30 years ago. And how the rates are being calculated and controlled, I think that people are looking to avenues now of decoupling themselves and of offering that level of loan and lending to buy houses, to buy cars, but not at the rates currently offered today, affected by inflation, right? And Avenue was or Ave, right? It was one of those that I was looking at that should have done that. They kind of backed off. Bake was another one that I was looking at. Alchemex. There's a lot of these little companies that, had they just created a uniform platform, they would be miles ahead in accomplishing that goal. But because everybody doesn't want to, tell what the left hand and the right hand is doing, and it just creates this competitive space where no one goes nowhere. And I think that's where the future of replacing banks is going to lead to. And if they can kind of work this out, you're going to see a huge shift in how the government is now competes with crypto, and kind of now either they're going to do what they're doing to Trump, right? Eliminate that competition, cut them off at the knees, or see that there's actual value there, right? And maybe the government, instead of paying back trillions of dollars and hitting themselves, shooting themselves in the foot, actually uses crypto in a way that not only gives them value for the future, but helps them actually pay their shit at the same time, right? Without affecting taxpayers. So again, I think we're still a little ways from that because of regulations and control. And I don't think both sides would ever agree on actually helping the market spur this type of innovation. But I think that as this generation, the current generation of people, the younger generation just continues to not trust banks, because I don't know if you know, but deposits for banks are at all-time lows compared to just a year ago, let alone decades ago.
People are realizing they're a Ponzi, that's why.
Correct. But at the same time, they need to be able to borrow. And without having relationships with banks, you can't do it, right? So I think people are eyeing this sector right now. And I'm hoping that in the next couple of years, these changes, someone, whether it's Trump, whether it's Biden, or I'm hoping it's somebody just smart for a change, a smart person who's just not a politician, just does this and pushes us to the next level. Because I think that's what we need.
Yep, I agree. I think one other thing we have to take in consideration too is the government and the U.S. government and the SEC, they're taking a different look at crypto right now because of BlackRock and Fidelity. A lot of the bigger institutions that are getting in, they no longer can try to squash it. They're going to have to figure out a way to coexist with it. And I also want to make a point too. My left hand always knows what my right hand is doing, and it never ever agrees with it. But that's just I digress. Now, as for my pick, I don't typically like to pick specific projects, but I'm sticking with my gaming and RWAs because I feel that's going to be the next, the ongoing sector niche, if you will. We all know that in the gaming sector and NFT sector, IMX has always been the front runner. It's the leader. It's been around the longest and it does the most work. But I think one coming up that I think is right there with them and is constantly building. They're a launch pad, and they're also, funding projects that are developing on gaming is Super. So that's one that I've been watching for a while. I've been invested in that, full disclosure, for quite a while, going back to the last bull market when it launched. And I believe in what they're doing, and I think that's going to be a huge sector in the gaming.
Excellent. Yeah, I think I agree with everybody. And Juan actually is really sparked my interest with the whole crypto competing with real world banks and lending and everything else as an option, especially with a lot of institutional money coming into BlackRock ETFs, doing their research, learning about crypto. It's only a matter of time before these entities start self-custodying and then looking for options themselves. So yeah, that's also another good place to be watching when you're looking at turmoil in real world. And yeah, like Chart said, yeah, just do your research with these real world assets on CoinGecko and try and find stuff that people are going to need regardless. And music's a good one, right? Like, nothing cheaper and easier to uplift your spirits than listening to some tunes when you can't go out and dance at a bar or anything else, right? Like, it's it's just position yourself smartly, and until then, enjoy the gains, because we are going to see some massive inflation and pumping before this happens. And I think you guys have it nailed on the head that it's all gonna come turning around election time. So once that's over and the next candidate's locked in for 4 years, now it's time to start fixing the mistakes, right? So
yeah. Okay.
And we
if anyone has any final, does anyone have any final words before we close it out?
Yeah, I do. When a government issued meme coin, please and thank you.
I'm on it.
On Solana, right? On Solana.
Only a Solana, and it's an all-inner for me. Like, that's just pull all your chips together and push them in, right? So, let's do it.
Yeah.
That sounds perfect. Any last words from you, Juan?
Always. Don't sleep on the market. If you are going to decide to invest, don't be afraid of your phone, setting up alerts. Sometimes these trades and these dips can happen at any time. An Asian market can open at 3 a.m. in the morning, and next thing you know, you're down 50% of your value. Don't be afraid to set those alerts up. And it's okay to lose 5-10%, right? I mean, nothing's ever guaranteed. Don't lose 50 because you decided to snooze through the event. All right. Yeah. Just saying, this is one of those moments. Just stay awake.
Yeah.
What's 50% in crypto? Like 10% in regular markets?
Oh, that's like 3% in regular markets.
I was gonna say 3%. Yeah, about 3%.
Anything
so we're good otherwise. Then we're okay. All right, cool. I could easily lose 50% then. I'm good.
Yeah, as crypto veterans, we're all dead inside, so we don't get shook easy. What? 60%? Yeah, okay. I'll get back to sleep.
What feelings? I lost those feelings 10 years ago.
Yeah.
What's one terminology that we use in crypto that's never heard anywhere else? Diamond hands, right? We're gonna keep holding.
Pressure creates diamonds, right? And we got lots of them. So.
I'm telling you, man, we hold on to that XRP, guys.
Oh, man.
On that note, gentlemen, thank you for joining us this week. We will see you again next week. Always appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, thanks, everyone.
See you guys next week.
And as a final note, I think next week we have this new platform here. We are getting better every week at actually running it, and part of that platform